Why do smart, well-meaning people in the same policy debate talk past each other so completely? It's not always because someone is lying or stupid. Often they're operating with different cultural common sense about what counts as a good decision in the first place. I'm Professor Hellstrom, and this video we're going to look at grid group cultural theory, theoretical framework that explains decision-making by looking at organizational culture, not just interests. Unlike theories that focus on rational self-interest or economic constraints, grid group cultural theory argues that culture plays a fundamental role in shaping how groups make decisions. It categorizes social organizations based on two dimensions: the grid, the extent to which social rules and roles constrain individual behavior, and group, the strength of group identity and cohesion. Different combinations of these dimensions create distinct cultural worldviews, each with its own approach to decision-making. So grid group cultural theory identifies four main cultural types. The hierarchical type, which is high group, high grid. It values authority, structure, expertise. Decisions follow strict rules, emphasize stability. And you should think the typical type of organization would be a top-down bureaucracy, maybe a military institution where you have your general on top and your private enlisted staff at the bottom. And then we have the individualist type of organization, which is low grid and low group. These prioritizes personal autonomy and competition. Decisions are market-driven, focusing on risk-taking and profit. You would think about perhaps companies, private companies, small-town enterprises. And then we have the egalitarian type of group, which is low grid and high group. Fewer rules, but very much collectivist. Emphasizes collective decision-making and social justice. Decisions prioritize equality and sustainability. We can have activist movements, cooperatives, various type of communal approaches to governance. And then there is the fatalist type of group, which is high grid, low group. This one has low decision-making is out of individual control. People in this type of organization feel like often shaped by external forces. People follow orders, but they don't believe in agency. There's no trust here between actors in this model, and people would think that everyone else is out to get you. Everybody's going to try to exploit me. So what's the point of even engaging? You would see successful use of fatalist types of organization in the police force, for example, because they can't always trust the people that they are incarcerating or arresting or detaining because they're suspected of possible crimes. Traffic regulation, traffic policing is the same thing. Are we trusting that people are going to be following the speed limit all the time? If we can't trust that, we better set in some type of organization to. So this type of organization will be good in a low trust environment, but it's very bad at reacting to new inputs and so on. To see this in practice, take a big pipeline approval fight. In the same discussion, in the same debate, you will typically find hierarchical actors, government regulators, ministries, technical public agencies who think in terms of top-down decision-making, correct procedure, doing it properly, environmental assessments, compliance rules, mitigation laws, plans, stage approvals. And then you'll have individualist actors, firms, industry associations, market-oriented advisors, who frame the issue as an investment, as growth through competition and economic growth, profits, jobs, and don't overregulate innovation. On the other side, you might have egalitarian actors, environmental NGOs, grassroots coalitions, community movements who treat the pipeline as a moral and collective risk issue. The system itself is the problem, and the solution is consensus decision-making based on grassroots community initiatives. And then finally, you might have fatalist actors, people caught in the middle, those who don't really believe that they can influence the outcome either way. What you get is resignation, low trust, they're only out to get us, a sense that decisions will be made elsewhere anyway. Grid group theory, cultural theory, helps explain why these groups don't just disagree on the policy, they disagree on what counts as a good argument, what risks matter, and what legitimacy even looks like. Further, each of these groups have their own strengths and weaknesses. The hierarchist organization can make effective decisions, get things done when the top of the organization has committed. On the other hand, because of the chain of command, it struggles with adapting to changing circumstances outside the group, which is the strength on the flip side of the individualist actors. They adapt quickly to new developments, but on the other hand, they rarely commit to manage long-term collective risks, preferring instead to focus on their own service delivery. The service delivery outcomes of the moment, even. Egalitarian actors are in contrast very much focused on collective risk issues, but run into the problem of consensus decision-making before acting. So the bigger their organization or the groups of their organizations are, the harder it will be for them to make any decision at all in the first place, much less act. But if they do manage to make a decision, they will, however, have strong legitimacy among local communities. Finally, the fatalists will probably not be able to act at all. They are stuck in routines. They mistrust the motives of others. They assume that collaboration will come at a higher cost than doing nothing at all. But they will be very good at spotting bad faith actors seeking to exploit the system before anyone else does. This theory is particularly useful for understanding why different organizations approach the same problem in radically different ways, why some groups resist policies that seem beneficial to outsiders, and how cultural assumptions shape political conflicts. Decision-making isn't just about logic or power, it's about how deeply ingrained cultural worldviews shape what people see as possible, legitimate, desirable. However, the theory does risk oversimplifying human behavior into rigid categories. Many organizations don't fit neatly into a single grid group type, and cultures can shift over time in response to external pressure. But if you've ever wondered why bureaucracies insist on rigid procedures, why free market advocates oppose regulations even in crisis, or why grassroots movements prioritize consensus over efficiency, grid group cultural theory provides a compelling answer. Decision-making isn't just about logic or power. It's about how deeply ingrained cultural worldviews shape what people see as possible, legitimate, and desirable. If you find this video useful, please take the time to like the video, press those subscribe and bell buttons so you get notified when the new content is published. You can also support the channel by joining the community or supporting me on Patreon or Ko-fi. Every little bit helps. Thank you.